My name is Sam Chimbuya, and I'm an elder at Northside Church in Harare, Zimbabwe. I'm going to give you the devotion today, and this is going to be the last midweek devotion for this year. We will start again our midweek devotions next year in 2026. Today's devotion is based on the sermon that was given by our Pastor Were on Sunday the 23rd, and it was based on Naomi's story. This is the final sermon that was done on Naomi, and it was giving a summary of the book of Ruth. Naomi's story is set during the time of the judges in Israel around 1200 to 1000 BC. The Bible doesn't specify a particular judge overseeing Israel at that time, but her story took place during the later part of that period. And during that period, it's possibly the judges that were there during that period were Ehud and Jephthah and also Samson. Now, Ehud had delivered Israel from the Moabites' oppression, which might explain why Elimelech's family felt safe going into the land of the Moabites. And Jephthah also led Israel to victory against the Amorites, and the Amorites were neighbors of the Moabites. So the story of Naomi and Ruth is a beacon of faith and redemption in a troubled period, highlighting God's providence as well as inclusion. Now, when we look at the whole Bible, it's the story of God's redemption of His people. That is the summary that we could give for the whole Bible. And Ruth in particular gives us an understanding of that plan of redemption. So Naomi and her husband and family lived among their kinsmen in Jerusalem, and they were also protected by God, just like the rest of the kinsmen in Jerusalem. It's famine that actually drove Naomi and Elimelech and her sons to the land of the Moabites. They sold their possessions, and at that time they felt comfortable and secure to go and settle in the land of the Moabites. She even felt more secure when her sons got married to Moabites women in the land of the Moabites. But calamity fell on her when her husband and both her sons died. She felt vulnerable and hopeless. So when she heard that God had shown favor to His kinsmen in Jerusalem, she decided it was time to go back to her kinsmen. Fortunately, one of her daughters-in-law, Ruth, clung to Naomi and said she will go with her to her people and she would never leave Naomi, even though Naomi went to lengths to try to persuade her to remain in the land of the Moabites and also get married and have her life in the land of the Moabites. The other daughter-in-law, Orpah, of course, remained in the land of the Moabites. And when we look further at Ruth's life, she was very loyal to Naomi and treated her mother-in-law very, very well. When they went into back to Jerusalem, she went out looking for food. So she went gleaning in somebody's field. And this this field also happened to be Boaz's field, who was related to Elimelech. At this point, Naomi saw the opportunity for a kinsman redemption through Boaz. And this was only after Ruth had reported where she had gone to glean grain. Now, the concept of kinsman redeemer is rooted in ancient Israeli law. This is recorded in Leviticus 25 and also in Deuteronomy 25 from verses 5 to 10. Now, the rules were part of the Mosaic law and traditionally believed to have been given around 1400 and thereabouts during the Exodus. So the kinsman redeemer laws were designed to protect the family property as well as the family lineage. So a close relative or a kinsman could redeem or buy back family property that would have been sold due to poverty. And if a man had died childless, based on the same kinsman redeemer law, again a close relative was to marry the widow to raise a family so that the family inheritance of the property and the family name could be preserved in that way. So Boaz, in this case, acted as the kinsman redeemer for Naomi's family by marrying Ruth, who was a Moabite widow. So, and this was done to preserve Elimelech's lineage. But remember, it was the son of Elimelech who was married to Ruth. After Boaz married Ruth, this is where it becomes very interesting. When Boaz married Ruth, they had a son, and their son was Obed. And if you go back into the scriptures, you will realize Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David. And when the Bible introduces Jesus in Matthew, it says, Jesus, the son of David. So Jesus became mankind kinsman redeemer to preserve God's lineage. This is how God has woven the events of these people into the redemption that we all know that it is through Jesus. Now, the whole story of Naomi, Ruth, and Boaz lays a critical foundation for us to understand God's core plan of redemption of mankind so that God's family lineage could be preserved. Remember, God created us in His image. So we are the exact replica of God. We are created to be part of the royal family, to be God's possession forever. And God intended at the creation that His lineage should not be broken. However, sin got in the way, and we were bought, as it were, by the devil. But God so loved mankind, His possession, that He gave His only Son to buy back what had been bought by the devil, so that He could preserve His family. And Jesus, who is the exact replica of God the Father in human form, is our kinsman redeemer. He is fully qualified to be our Redeemer, so that the lineage of God's family is preserved forever. So the bottom line here is, if you have given your life to Christ, you are part of the royal family of God. And you have been redeemed because God wanted to preserve his lineage, so that we are not lost from to the devil. So the good news is, Jesus is still available, and we will be celebrating his birth very soon in December, and he is still available to redeem you back into his family, so that you can continue to be part of God's family, and that is forever. I'm happy that you have been listening to this, and like I said, this is our last midweek devotion for this year. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and good night.